You're a producer. You like sampling, you like using loops, but you're concerned about your beats sounding like someone else's if they use the same loop or sample. What's something that you can do to make yours stand out? My name is El Marquis, musician, rapper, record producer, unashamed crowd follower, and today I'm going to show you how to quickly manipulate samples in Logic Pro 10.
El Marquis Productions.
What's up, fellow bedroom producers? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time seeing me, I make videos that break down my beat making and songwriting process. I also make tutorials specifically on Logic Pro 10. I also give advice to independent artists and producers all around the world. And occasionally, I do product reviews. So if any of that interests you, I need you to do me a really quick favor. Go down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so that way you can see more videos like this, and then you can also help other producers who have similar interests as you see more videos like this. Got that out of the way? Bet. Let's get into the video. So first of all, why would you want to manipulate a sample? Most of the time when we get loops from Splice or maybe sounds.com or maybe from another producer's pack off of their website, most of the time the loops are actually good to go. You can just import them into your DAW, make sure that they align correctly with the tempo, and then you can add drums and other instruments to them. Now that's fine, but let's say you get that loop off of Splice, or let's say you get it off of someone else's website who has an audience of thousands of other producers. There are other people out there who have the same loop or that same sample, and there's nothing wrong with that. I personally don't have a problem with that, but that does mean that someone else out there has the same loop or sample as you. So for me personally, I don't mind using the same loop as someone else, but since I do know that someone else out there has that same loop, I always like to manipulate my loops, whether it's something really minor, or sometimes I like to completely change the original sound of the loop and make it sound completely different than the original thing. And there are multiple ways to manipulate loops and samples, so now I'm going to go switch over to Logic Pro 10, and I'm going to show you how to quickly manipulate samples. Alright, so now we have a blank session in Logic Pro 10 opened up. The first thing that you're probably going to want to do is to create an audio track. So just make sure that it's selected on audio and then hit create. The next thing that you're probably going to want to do is to actually find a loop or a sample to use. So for the purpose of this video, we're actually going to use one of my loops from my free sample kit called Old Photos. This loop, as well as 4 others, are available in this pack to download for free at lmarquisproductions.com. If you like what I do over here on this channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you visited lmarquisproductions.com, went over to sample packs, and then downloaded this pack. So now here's the loop right here. So now we're just going to drag this over to the audio track, and then since this is a WAV file, it automatically changed the tempo of this project session to 68 BPM, which is what the tempo of the loop is. I always include the tempo as well as the key signature in my loops. Most other loop makers do as well, so always double check that your loop and your project tempo are the same. So now let's play this loop so you can get an idea of what it sounds like. Alright, cool. So now you get the main idea. I made this loop pretty long so you can have a lot of things to chop up and manipulate. But first, let's teach you how to actually manipulate this loop. So the quickest and possibly the easiest thing that you can do right now is just change the key of the loop. So right now it's currently in C major. What it means to transpose is to change the key signature of the song or the loop or whatever you're playing, which in simpler terms means that you're basically making the loop sound lower or higher. And it's really easy to transpose loops in Logic. All you have to do is go over here, click this drop down, click on the audio file, and then over here where it says transpose, click the box over here, and then just drag it either down to transpose it down or drag it up to transpose it up. So now let's take it down -3. Hear what that sounds like. So now you can hear that it sounds lower in pitch. Let's hear what it sounds like if you drag it up +5. So now the loop is already sounding different. I'm gonna drag this down. Let's try maybe -2. So now the loop sounds really different already, and that was super simple. What's something else that we can do? The next easiest thing that you can do is change the tempo of the loop, and it's really easy to do that. So all you have to do is click Command F on your keyboard or click this icon over here. And since we transpose this loop, flex mode has already been turned on. If we're doing this completely from scratch, you would just click this button over here to turn flex mode on. Then you click this box right here and select flex time polyphonic. And so basically now what that means is that you can drag the tempo up or down and the loop will automatically follow it. So it was a originally at 68. Let's drag it up to 75. So now you can hear that the loop is lower in pitch than what it originally was in, and now it's also a little bit faster. So those are two really quick and easy ways to manipulate a loop. What else can we do? Another thing that you can do is add effects. That can be anything from chorus to flangers to delays to reverbs, glitch sound effects. That can be anything. So let me pull up one that I like really quick. So I'll click over here to audio effects. Go to audio units. Now I'm going to select M Rhythmizer from Melda Production. This is a third-party plugin. If you're familiar with Growspeed, if you've either used FL Studio or if you've seen someone else talking about FL Studio, this is a plugin that's really similar to it. So for this loop, I'll turn it off at first and then I'll play it again. I'll just select one of these sequences to show you what it does. So here's it bypassed. And now here's it on. So one thing that it's kind of doing right now is just playing the loop in a different way. It's almost as if it took the loop and chopped it up for you and played it back in a different way. Let's see what another one of these can do. Let's click 50% speed. So what that's doing is pretty much is taking the loop and it's playing it in halftime. You'll also hear other people referring to this as halftime. If you listen to mainstream hip hop or trap music, you probably heard this effect before. But something else that this plugin can do. You can click on this. So you kind of get the idea. Basically what this plugin can do is just manipulate the rhythm of whatever you put it on, in this case the loop. So that's one way that you can make the loop sound different. What's another effect that you can use? So now I'll select one stock from Logic. Let's hear what this chorus sounds like. So I'll just turn the mix up on this just so you can hear it. So here's the loop with it off. And now here's it on. So now that adds another layer and texture to the sound. What's another effect that we can use? Another effect that people oftentimes use, and I know for sure I used this when I made this loop, is RC20, which can make it sound a lot more retro, a lot more vintage. Let's hear what the stock preset sounds like on this loop. I'm just gonna manipulate it a bit just to show you some other ideas that you can incorporate. So I'm really just messing around right now, but even using a plugin like this, you can really mess around with the different knobs and then create a whole new sound. What's one more effect that you can do? I'll show one more that's another stock plugin in Logic. Let's pull up a reverb, pull up Chroma Reverb. And through here, you can dial in your own effect. You also can just go through different presets. So let's hear what this one sounds like. So now it sounds far away. It sounds like you put it in a whole different room, and it sounds really airy and spaced out. Cool. There are tons of effects that you can use to manipulate the sound of your loop. These are just a couple of them that I wanted to show you today. There are tons of really cool effects that you can play with that are stock in Logic Pro 10. And also you can download other plugins from third-party websites such as Waves or UAD, Native Instruments, and then you can use them to make your loops sound really different. All right, cool. And what's another way that you can actually manipulate your loops? So now I'm actually gonna set this back to the original tempo. Another cool thing you can do is actually chop it up and rearrange the loop. And there's a really cool, quick, and easy way to do it in Logic by using the Quick Sampler plugin. So now I'm going to drag the loop into Logic. Again, drag it over here, go to Quick Sampler Optimized. So now we have this Quick Sampler plugin pulled up in Logic Pro 10 that's also stock in Logic. If you're interested, I made a full video that teaches you how to use Quick Sampler. So if you're interested in checking it out, you can click that card up right there. So basically what Quick Sampler is doing is it chopped up different parts of the loop, and now you can actually play them on your MIDI keyboard. So now that it actually is chopped up, you can play the different chops on your keyboard and you can rearrange how the loop loop is played. But before we do that, there are a couple of things that you'll probably want to do. Go over here to amp where it says polyphony and change it to mono, so that way whenever you play one of these chops, they don't all play over each other. Whenever you play one of the chops, it will just cut off. In fact, actually, I'll show you what it sounds like if this is on. So the different chops are just playing on top of each other. Now I'll change it to mono. So now the different chops cut each other off. And then the next thing that you'll probably want to do is, by default, it's set to transient mode, which just puts a chop on the different transients within the loop. And of course, you can go in, drag them any way you want, delete them, maybe. Something that may help you get started a bit quicker is you can go over here to mode, click on this, go to beat divisions, and then over here in divisions, you can actually select how it's actually divided up. So right now it's on 8th notes. Let's try putting it on 1 right now and hear what that sounds like. So the first chop is on C1 on the keyboard. Let's hear what this sounds like now. So I'll turn on the metronome to make it easier to hear what this sounds like. But basically every time the metronome hits, that's where these chops are divided up. You don't have to use this division, you can use whichever division you'd like, and of course you also can go in and you can change where the chops are actually placed. And now basically you just turn this loop into a whole different instrument. So you can replay it any way you want. Let's say maybe you like how this progression plays as is, maybe you just want to add a little bit of swing to it. So you can play it like that, or you can have it play it in a completely different rhythm. So I'll just play something random just so you can get the idea. And that was a bit choppy, a bit random. Of course, if you spend more time trying to find some really cool chops, you can make that sound cooler. I just wanted to play something really quick so you can get the idea. And of course, you can mess with these other parameters as well. For example, let's hear what this glide sounds like if we drag this up a bit. I think if you spend more time trying to find some really cool chops, you can make something pretty cool with that. In fact, I'll show you what this actually looks like if you do record a pattern. So I'll just lay one down really quick. So that was a bit sloppy, but now I can close this. This loop just played back as MIDI data. So from here, you can manipulate it similar to a MIDI instrument. You can move the notes over, drag them up or down, which will play those different chops. You can also affect their velocity. For this, I might just drag them all up so they're all hitting at the same velocity. And then from there, you can bounce it in place. So just right click on it, click bounce in place, title it whatever you want, and then mute that. And now that comes as an audio file. And then from there, you can still put on other effects to sound different than how they originally sounded. There's actually one more way to manipulate a loop that I forgot to show you that I do want to show you really quick. You can also play the loop in reverse, which is also very common in hip hop. There are multiple ways to reverse your loop. The first thing you do is first make sure that your loop is an audio file, because this doesn't work the same as MIDI. So you double click on the audio file, then click file, then on functions, click reverse, and it'll take a second to do it. And now the loop should be playing backwards. Let's hear what this sounds like. That sounds really cool in my opinion. That can be used for something. And the last tip I want to give on how to quickly manipulate samples is combine these different techniques together, and then you can really make it sound different. For example, now the loop is playing backwards. It's also pitched down. I can also speed it up a bit. Let's change it to 75. Now let's say I want to put this chorus effect on it. Let's see what this sounds like really quick. And there are more things that you can do to manipulate how your loops sound, but as you can see, it's really easy to do it. It just takes a couple of clicks, and of course, creativity, which is one of the reasons why I like using loops anyways, because just because another producer has the same loop as you, that doesn't mean that the beat that you both make are going to sound exactly the same. There are multiple different ways you can change the sound of the loop itself, and then of course from there, you can always add on more instruments. Like you can add on different chords, different counter melodies, you can add on drums, and now just because someone else has the same loop as you, it doesn't mean that your beat is going to sound the same. Now it's going to sound completely different. So if you are someone who just drags and drops loops into Logic, call it a day. That's cool and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you make something dope. But if you want to make things a bit more interesting, if you want to spice up your loops, I just showed you some different techniques in order to accomplish that. So now you just learned how to quickly manipulate loops in Logic Pro 10. Thank you for watching this video. If you like what you've seen today, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you know whenever I upload new videos. Also, if you liked the loop that was used in this video, you can go down in the description below to download this as well as 4 other loops for a total of 5 in this free loop pack that I have available on my website called Old Photos. It's completely free to download. All you have to do is click the link and then that will take you to my website. So you can also go to lmarquisproductions.com to check out my music, my beats, my sample kits, my merchandise, and my mixing, mastering, and consulting services. Now go down in the comment section below and let me know what are some other ways that you can manipulate loops. My name is L Marquis Productions. God bless.